Good morning, welcome to a Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Wednesday the 3rd of May. This week seems to be going past quicker, maybe due to the fact that we had the Monday off. Just a reminder, we've got a bank holiday in the UK next week as well, so if you're watching this elsewhere, there'll be a significant drop off in volume in the morning for sure. Okay, before we look at the markets themselves, quick look at the possible risk today in terms of news. Well, we have upcoming, of course, today is the FOMC later on. Here we go, and at 7 p.m. and the press conference at 7:30. So that certainly is the all eyes on, and it's more not so much for the 0.25% increase that it's expected, but also future guidance. Now, there's an expectation in a sense of some softening. We'll see. Okay, so that's the key thing there. We've got the ADP non-farms out at 115. It can always cause a bit of volatility if it comes a long way away from expectation, although it's as useful as chocolate teapot overall. Aside of that, it's a quietish day. Now, we do have a couple of ECB speakers, which surprises me, bearing in mind we've got the ECB meeting tomorrow, but anyway, there we are. We've got ECB speakers at 9, a survey of forecasters there at 9 o'clock, so some data. So Swiss National Bank speaker, Canadian data, is that out today? Have I got the right day here? Just check that I've got the May the 4th, that's tomorrow, that'll be why. There we go, but we do have ECB speakers today as well, so there we go. I'm getting ahead of myself here. ECB this afternoon, right? Okay, so we've just got to be a bit wary from that. I feel that the market might slow down completely, but sometimes we just get this sort of unloading of positions, unwinding before the news, and well, that can take us anywhere. Technically, as you can see, this euro dollar, it's still sitting there in this range, I think is the best term, and you can see the range. It did pitch through the lows of that range, but it's come back to the just slightly beyond the center into its weekly pivot here, just trying to push up a little bit further. Daily pivot is below the lows here at the moment, so it's a long way away from its daily pivot, but because it's hit the R1 first, if it continues post 8 o'clock, it's got a reasonable probability of getting up there towards the R2. So let's just see how that starts in 12 minutes time. So a bit of time away from that yet, but you can see on this time frame actually the lower highs and lower lows that it was sort of sitting in, but it has put a softer higher low coming back on the other way. The pound also continues in this sort of choppy zone, up again this morning. You just see dollar weakness through these markets this morning. Already hit its weekly pivot here. It's back into this line I drew on quite a while ago now, and it seems to be that the market's stuck on it. It's where the market's sort of doodling between it. Yesterday it came within a fraction of that and then bounced completely off of it. Just got to be careful. It has got lower highs on this shorter time frame, but it's now put a higher low in the opposite way. It's depending how you draw on the trend line, it's broken its trend line structural change here at the moment and not too far away from the R1, but erring on the bullish side there and taking into account the bigger picture, certainly bullish. The US dollar yen, so the yen, or the US dollar is coming off against the yen at the moment, I should say. Again, yesterday it rolled over, today it's rolling back again. It could have some support off its weekly pivot, so just a little way below there and not too far above the highs. It might just run through a little. It's already missed its daily pivot here, and again another one into its well, it's in the S1 instead of the R1 this time, so again post 8 o'clock we'll be watching this to see if it runs just down to its S2. Aussie dollar, Aussie dollar back to the my original channel that I was following here. It's back to the center point. It's reacted off that and drops back south a bit, but it has put a higher low in here, changed the pattern of where it was. It doesn't look like too many traders are too bullish on the dollar today at all, does it? Consolidated though, the Aussie here at the moment between a rock and a hard place, I would say. US dollar CAD. Right, we've got a little bull flag on the lower time frames. It's been, again, the dollar has been pushing up quite strongly here. Here's your little flag sort of pattern. Again, came back to I put a pivotal level on here yesterday, thinking, well, I'll get a signal off that and I'll go short on that. Well, it never got anywhere near it. Well, did get near it, but then totally reversed and off it's gone. Now, just really looking this morning, it has got the pivot underneath. It's got it's still in this flag. It could come back to that pivot. Maybe draw the trend line slightly different than if you're keen to get into a trade here. But it has got some scope for further upside, of course. But any trading today will be a bit iffy. Morning, Ian, number 2. Euro yen. It's been pushing up, the old euro against the yen, just retracing on the shorter time frames here. Lower highs coming in consolidation. Again, it looks like we've got a support level. Now it's sort of bouncing, maybe post 8 o'clock if it bounces, it could be off for its S1 and maybe even more. So looking like the yen's just getting the better of things at the moment. The euro pound, just looking at this briefly, it's starting to develop into some better trends, believe it or not. It doesn't look so good on this shorter time frame. It is one of the most frequently traded pairings. It's right up in the top 10, but anyway, it's even for that, it's the correlation often is too tight, but it does look sort of like it's starting to develop maybe a bull flag. It has got the daily pivot below, obviously high probability of that being hit, so it may be worthwhile waiting to see if it hits out or takes out the highs, whichever. Okay, Euro Aussie, not actually much going on there. Euro CAD, I was looking at the Euro CAD yesterday, really wanted the Euro CAD to continue its rollover that it had been having, but that wasn't to be. You've still got my alert down there where I was sort of sitting there waiting for it to happen. Just didn't come down there. Then there was a nice flag down there as well, nice lower highs, lower lows coming through here, but again structurally it's changed things. Actually that 50 EMA has turned into a good trend line actually, and it's broken through that, and saying that's probably a bit of divergence sitting where it is at the moment. Break to the downside, well, got the daily pivot down there, but at the moment erring back on the upper side. It's a shame it'd been running in this lovely downward trend up until then, so not in on that one. Pound CAD, some of these they've got a slightly bigger spread, but they give some decent moves at times, hence why I look at these crosses. High lows coming through here again. Yesterday it looked a bit on the softer side. The Euro CAD looked tidier, but this later on it pushed through. So not a great deal this morning. I'd really like to say, well, there's this, have this little filter of other currency pairs to be looking at here. The pound yen is possibly, I mean, it's put this bearish engulfing in yesterday. Maybe it is topping out a little bit there. It's got the weekly pivot not that far below, had a divergence from that. It's changed it a little bit. Still the overall picture is largely upside. However, shorter time frame, it's put these lower lows in here and sort of stepping its way down. The only thing I'd say is the retracements are a little bit more frequent, so you've got to watch that. But it does look soft. If the other markets run and the yen gives up some, this too could follow suit and hit the S1 before it hits anything else. Could see it running onto the S2. Right, okay. That's the Forex sorted. There's a quick look at gold. The other Forex. Gold yesterday put on, finally got out of its range, or part of its range there. It's pushed up a little bit. It's consolidated where it is here. It's quite ugly though. In the main, it's been really ugly. It's had the big surge there at 3 o'clock, and then it's pretty much been going chopping ever since. But that summarises things pretty well. I would expect it to be chopping through to the Fed meeting. Looking further afield, the indices then, looking firstly at the CSI 300, caught a bit of a bounce yesterday, following through at the moment. Classic bear flag though. If it does decide to roll back, it's setting that flaggish sort of pattern. See what develops from there, but it overall it's put the lower high in here. It's questionable whether, well, I'm still looking at this thinking it could roll over. The Nikkei, well, it's continuing its upward trajectory, and because it's not kind of been open yesterday. I'm just looking, it was 2nd of May. Yeah, it wasn't open yesterday. What's going on here? Got the dailies. No, it's closed. There we go. Oh, I haven't got the data, whichever. Nifty 50 continuing largely to push up there. Yesterday it pushed on, closed up, but off a little bit, probably to close the gap that was sitting in between. Still, overall, bigger picture is looking positive. However, if the rest of the equity markets were to roll, it could also get thrown out with the bathwater, basically. Aussie 200, lower highs in here on the dailies. Yesterday it had quite a sell-off day there with the unexpected increase in rates there. This could follow through to the downside. S&Ps then. S&P's pivot swing into the highs. It's really looking iffy. Really, and it's really down to, and we could end up with it chopping through to after the Fed meeting, when I expect some clearer definition maybe out of it. There may be buyers coming into these markets. As Dow Jones here, similar pictures. We've got the swing looking there, could break of that, could see further downside, but we could just as easily see consolidation. Okay, Nasdaq, not a great deal of difference there, coming off yesterday, bouncing into its monthly pivot. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't get choked on that during the daytime. Moving closer home to DAX, and DAX, goodness, yesterday was a pretty ugly day for it overall. Sold off first thing in the morning, chopped for a while, and sold off later on. Trying a move back at the moment. This is the daily pivot here. It's not too far away from that. A pitch into that and a rollover could probably be a potential. So just wait to see what it does at the pivot there. If it starts rolling over, could be on for the recent lows, or even down towards that S1. And finally, the FTSE. Bearish engulfing yesterday. It's really in that downward trend there, and again it sort of took the hit throughout the day. Largely it looks, and it never really looked back. Again, we're not too far away from the pivot there. A run into the pivot would be quite nice, and then just looking to see if it starts rolling away from that. And again, looking for the prior lows and the S1. So you go, a few things. If you're looking at the equity markets, not so much on the Forex markets at the moment, but that's the way it's crumbling at the moment. Just be really aware that we got the Fed meeting at 7 o'clock this evening, UK time. Be careful. Okay, take care. Catch you later.